Today I'll have some tips for you, or maybe some information about how to get an appointment at some Czech embassy, because now the season is getting high and many people ask about this, and it's kind of complicated and it differs at the different embassies. So I wanted to cover this topic to bring some clarity. So in the beginning, I'll give you three plus two tips on how to get an appointment at some Czech embassy. And then I will go into details and explain what's behind that and what you should expect. Okay, so 3 plus 2 tips on how to get an appointment at some Czech embassy. Number one is to find out where you can or where you have to apply, because different nationalities have to okay, so 3 plus 2 tips on how to get an appointment at some Czech embassy. Number one is finding out where you have to or where you can apply. Number two is finding out more information about how to apply provided by the embassy itself. Then number three, following the guidelines exactly word by word as recommended by the embassy. And plus two, first extra tip is to start enough in advance, because it can take a very long time to get an appointment and it can be complicated. So it's better to start sooner than later. And tip number two, like extra tip number two, would be being prepared for the appointment, because what can happen is that you will get an appointment like for 2 months from now, but you can get it for like next week if you're lucky. And if you get it for next week and you don't have all the documents ready, then it sucks. So those were my 3 plus 2 tips on how to get an appointment at some Czech embassy. And let's go now through the details. Okay, so the thing is that every embassy in the world has their own specific way of booking an appointment. It's not like one system or one way of booking an appointment at all the embassies. For example, at some Czech embassies in Europe, you can just send an email and say, hey, I want to have an appointment to submit my employee card application. When can I come? And they will tell you, okay, come next week, Tuesday, 10 o'clock. Usually it's not that fast, but they will give you some specific date. At some embassies, you have to call them on a specific date and request the appointment via phone call. At some embassies, for example, in India, you can only apply for appointments every second Wednesday at 2 o'clock local time. And if you send it like 10 seconds later, you're out, and you have to wait for another month to get an appointment, or to at least like submit the application. So it's different for different embassies. So one of the tips I gave you in the beginning was to check how exactly to submit the application for the appointment. How exactly to request the appointment. Because what I've seen, or what we've seen Move to Prague as well, is that when people try to get appointments themselves, they often don't get them, especially in India, because the situation in India is crazy and the embassy there is crazy as well. And to get an appointment in India is very complicated. But many people disqualify themselves before they even start, because the embassy specifies exactly what you should do. That, for example, the subject line should only be your passport number. So if you write there something else than a passport number, like maybe passport number and your name, you're disqualified. If you don't write, or if you miss some letters or numbers in the passport number, you're disqualified. They also tell you that you have to send it in some specific time. So if you send it before that, you're disqualified. So you need to follow the guidelines exactly. Of course, we have some extra tips on how to deal with these situations, and we'll be happy to share them with our clients, because this is very, very serious know-how for different embassies. So I cannot really, or I don't want to talk about it like this, because it's very, very specific knowledge. And I'm not afraid to say that we are one of the few agencies, or one of the few people who know how to deal with these appointments. For example, in India, we don't get them every month, but every other month we usually get appointments for our clients. So it's very specific techniques, but I will not share them now. But following the guidelines of the embassy exactly is one of the steps on how to increase your chances. Because if they tell you you need to only use your passport number in the subject line and you put there something else, yeah, it might sound like a stupid thing or a small thing which doesn't have any influence on that, but it can easily disqualify you, which means that you have to wait for another month to try again. So things like this. Let me see what other notes I had here. Yeah, of course, it also depends on the type of visa or residence permit you're applying for. Because in some countries, again, India, because that's the craziest example, so I'm always talking about India, but it's like that. For example, if you want to apply for an employee card in India, you cannot do it if your employer is not registered in one of the programs for employers. There are no spots for normal people, let's say, or for normal employees or employers. If you want to apply for an employee card in India, you can only do it if your employer is registered in one of the programs. If they are not, you cannot apply. So this is also important, and that's one of the things. It's actually the first point to find out where you can apply, if you can apply, because it's possible that in some countries you simply cannot apply for some types of visas. Unfortunately, it's like that. And it's not only India. Those are other countries. There are, I would say, maybe 30, 40 countries where quotas are introduced. So you just cannot, there is a limit on how many people can apply a year, and if you're over the limit or if you don't meet the conditions, you just cannot apply. So that's how it is. How to get an appointment or where, it very much depends on your nationality. Okay, hey, I can see the comments. Woohoo! Mary Umay Raya Raja, how can I connect with you? That's perfect, actually. Thank you very much for commenting, because the last couple live streams I couldn't see your comments, so I couldn't see questions, and now I can. So thank you very much, Mary. The best way to contact me is through, let me see if I cannot, I don't want to share it now, but when I finish the live stream, I will share a link where you can just fill in a form and get in touch with us. You can try also like sending me a private message, but that often takes time before I get to it, because I receive plenty of messages every day and I only can reply when I'm available, which is like late at night or something like that. So sometimes if you just send me a private message, I try to reply to everyone, but sometimes you just need to wait a bit. But if you fill in the form, I'll share after I finish the live stream. That's the best way, because it's either me who will contact you or one of my colleagues, so you have highest chances. Okay, so sorry, that was like an interruption. Sorry for that. But guys, if you have any questions, once I finish the official part, I'll be happy to answer your questions. So please feel free to share them. I can see the comments now, or at least the one from Mary Umair Raya Raja. Okay, thanks. Perfect. So please share them here. Of course, guys on YouTube, if you have any questions, please share them as well, and I'll be happy to answer them later. So back to the topic. It very much also depends on your nationality, because for generally, for most nationalities in the world, you can only apply in the country of your origin or in the country where you hold a long-term or permanent residence permit. That means that if you're, for example, an Indian living in India, you can only apply for any type of visa at the Czech Embassy in India. I'm talking about long-term options, not short-term Schengen visas. That works a bit differently, but for long-term options, only in India. So if you want to apply for an employee card, there are no spots available, because all the employee cards must go through a special program and your employer is not registered in one of the programs. Unfortunately, you will never apply, because thanks to your, or because of your nationality, you can only apply at this one embassy. If you are an Indian and you live in Dubai, for example, then you can, and you have a long-term residence permit or permanent residence permit there, you can choose if you want to apply in India or in the Emirates. Because then you can choose. You can either apply in the country of your origin or in the country where you hold a long-term or permanent residency. So that can give you more options, but still you only have like these two options. But there are some nationalities, like 40 or 50, whose citizens or countries whose citizens are allowed to apply for their visas through any Czech embassy in the world. So they can actually choose, and it's also easier for them to get appointments, because if they cannot get an appointment in one city or in one country, they can try another country and they will eventually get some appointment somewhere. So those are nationalities like Americans, Canadians, Australians, New Zealanders, Mexicans, and like 40 more. So that's a great advantage, and they can choose actually where they want to apply. Yeah, so that's probably it. Also, just one more recommendation, that it's very important to start with everything a long time in advance. First, just to collect all the documents, because if you're not in the Czech Republic, it will take you at least a month or two to collect everything. Okay, even though it might be like a simple application, student visa application, the easiest one, or even family member, like a family reunification type of visa, which are easiest to get, like the student visa and family reunification. It will anyway take you time, because you need to get some documents from the Czech Republic. It's not up to you. So you, for example, need to wait for your school to issue the documents, which sometimes can take time. Then they need to deliver it to you somehow. So you need to wait for the delivery by mail or DHL or some other couriers. So it will take time. Even if everything goes smoothly, it's usually at least a month. Then in most cases, it's like 1 to 2 months. Sometimes it can be even more and more complicated. So start with collecting the documents enough in advance. And then when you see that you are getting close to having all the documents ready, then you can apply for an appointment at some Czech embassy, because it makes no sense to apply too much in advance. Because as I mentioned earlier, if the embassy gives you an appointment for next week, you're super lucky and they have appointments like that, and you don't have all the documents, that's not good, because embassies do not really like canceling appointments, rescheduling appointments, like people applying without all the documents, because in some cases you cannot even submit the application if it's not completed, or if it's not complete. So there is like a sweet spot where you have to apply for the appointment like enough in advance. On the other hand, you need to be sure that you can then go to the appointment and have everything ready. So it's kind of a magic which comes with experience. So that's what we have at Move to Prague, and we can somehow navigate through that. If you're applying yourself, it might be somehow difficult to find a sweet spot, because if you apply for an appointment too close to or too much in advance, they might call you for the appointment and you don't have all the documents, and then they will be pissed at you and they might not give you any other appointment, or at least everything will delay. If it's the other way around, that you wait for the very last moment to have all the documents ready, then you might not get an appointment in time, because you also need to keep in mind that the approval process. So, okay, let's say 1 to 2 months to prepare all the documents. Okay. Then you need to get some appointment at the embassy, which can sometimes be a week. Sometimes it can be a month. It can be 2 months. Depends. In some countries and for some types of visas, you cannot even get an appointment at all. So let's say 3 months to like even apply, to prepare all the documents and submit the application. And then after you submit the application, for most visa types, it will take at least 60 to 90 days to get it approved. So that's like in total, it's like 5 to 6 months at least, you know? So if you want to, if you don't start the process like 4-6 months before your planned arrival, you're getting yourself into a very stressful situation, because you might not make it in time. So that's very important part of that as well. So start enough in advance, and enough meaning like 4 to 6 months at least. If you are now trying to get an appointment for your student visa, thinking that you can come in September, in most cases that's not gonna work out. And I tell you, like, honestly, because you know me, I tell it how it is. So if you're now trying to get a student visa, it's kind of almost too late, or it's already too late for some nationalities and some programs. But anyway, of course, try. But yeah, you should have started like 4 months ago. Anyway, that was the like my prepared presentation or whatever. And let's go to your questions now. I see some questions from Mayank Agraval on Facebook, and then TBX Studios on YouTube. There are more questions, so I'll start with Mayank because that seems easier. Any tips for sending email to get higher chance for getting long-term visa, long-term residence permit, appointment of Czech Embassy India? Yeah, Mayank, I mentioned this a couple minutes ago, that this is our like treasured know-how. We know, of course, I gave you some tips earlier, like to follow exactly the guidelines of the embassy. So if they tell you only use your passport number as the subject of the email, only use the number as the subject. If they tell you we need this and this and this information in the email, put this and this and this and this information in that email. If they tell you we need this and this as an attachment and it must be PDF, attach this and make it in PDF. Because many people think like, okay, they want PDF, I don't want to put it into PDF, I'll just attach it as a picture. And they think it's the same. Like, yeah, like for you, if you send it from your phone, it might be the same. Or if you receive an email to your phone, it might be the same. But for the embassy, it might disqualify you because they specifically told you to send it as a PDF and you send it as a PNG or whatever. And that automatically can disqualify you. And those are like all these small little things which you don't, if you don't follow, then you might disqualify yourself before you even like started. So those would be the general tips. And if you haven't been here since the beginning, please go back to the beginning, because I shared 3 + 2 tips on how to get the appointment. But then, of course, it's a bit of a magic because every embassy has a different system, and it changes also. So this is our like know-how, and we only share it to our clients, or we don't even share it with them. We just book the appointments on their behalf. So, Mary Umay Raja, did I ask questions as well? I'm not sure. Let me see if I can see it here. Many thanks. How can I contact with you? That was the only thing, or that was the only question I saw here. How can you contact with me? If you sent something else, I couldn't see that. So please try to send it again, Mary. And now I'm going to YouTube. So TBX Studios. Thank you so much as always. I'm still confused about something. In your experience, what is the most preferred process between these two? First, legalize your documents in your home country, then super legalize in the Czech Republic, then translate. Or number 2, legalize your documents in your home country, then translate, then super legalize in the Czech Republic. Thank you. That's easy. That's easy. I hopefully will make it understandable for you. Super legalization. Oh, okay. If you want to use foreign documents in the Czech Republic, let's say your marriage certificate or your criminal check. If you, let's say, I don't know where you're from, but let's say again, you're from India, or no, super legalization. So let's say you're from Canada. Okay. You're Canadian and you want to use your criminal check in the Czech Republic. There is no agreement between the Czech Republic and Canada that we would recognize each other's documents. So the document, if you just submit it as is, as it was issued in Canada by Canadian authorities, Czech Republic would not accept it because it's not verified. So what you need to do is that you need to super legalize the document. So first you need to take it, usually it's the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So you would take it to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Canada. And then you take it to a Czech embassy in Canada, and they will kind of confirm that the confirmation of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is correct. So these 2 steps definitely need to come first. And then once you have the complete package, like the original document, the legalization of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the super legalization of the Czech embassy, then get it translated. That's the only way to make it easy, and the only correct way to do that. You could potentially get it legalized by the Canadian authorities, then get it translated, then get it super legalized, but they might also refuse to super legalize the document because it would not be like only the original document that would also have the translation attached and all that. So it's definitely best to first get the original document, second get it apostilled or super legalized, and then get it translated. So hopefully this was helpful. King Med Gaming, hello. I have Indian ECR passport holder, can apply Czech work visa. Sai, hey Sai. King Med Gaming. Unfortunately, if you're Indian and you want to move to the Czech Republic to work, like for employment, you have to apply for an employee card or for a blue card. For employee card, if you want to apply, the only way how to do that is through special programs for employers. So meaning that your employer, the future employer in the Czech Republic, you first need to find a job. That's the first thing you need to do if you want to move here to work. So you first find a job, and then also the job must be, or the employer must be registered in one of the programs for employers. Because if they are not, you will never get an appointment. Okay, this changes if you apply for a blue card. For the blue card, there are no quotas, so your employer doesn't need to be registered anywhere. But for the blue card, to qualify for the blue card, you must have at least bachelor's degree, and your salary must be at least, let's say, 60,000 crowns a month. So it's usually like for software developers or positions like that, not really for any like positions where the salaries are not that high. I don't know, of course, I'm not implying that you don't qualify, just saying that these are the rules, and you anyway will need to find a job first before you can apply for the blue card. So hopefully this was helpful as well. Sai, Jan, what is adaptation of Czech VHT, is it? Honestly, I don't know what you mean, Sai. So if you could maybe elaborate a bit more. Jan, what is adaptation of Czech VHT, WHT, is it? Yeah, unfortunately, I don't understand the question. So if you can repeat it or rewrite it somehow, please do, and I'll be happy to answer. So guys, on Facebook, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask there. I can see that the comments, or at least like previously today, the comments were working. So if you have any questions there, please feel free to ask, comment, and I will answer. It is potentially possible that I don't see the comments, because the last couple live streams I couldn't see the comments during the live, but I've seen some comments of Mary and of Mayank, so it seems to be working this time. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Now's the time. Comment Gaming, but I currently work in Kuwait. Is it possible? In Kuwait, I would need to double check if there are some quotas in Kuwait. But then, as I mentioned, then you would be either able to apply in India as the country of your origin, or in Kuwait if you hold there a long-term or permanent residence permit. And given that there is the Czech Embassy in Kuwait which accepts application, I'm not sure about that, and I would need to find out if there are some quotas. So I unfortunately cannot answer from top of my head, but I can find out. So if you get in touch and if you remind me, I can find out. I'm trying to think if we had anyone in Kuwait. I would say that we had someone from Kuwait, so should be possible, but honestly, from top of my head, I don't know now. Okay, guys, no more questions. If not, I'll give Sai a bit more time, a couple more seconds to rewrite his question, or her. I actually don't know. And yeah, if no more questions, then I'll finish the live stream in like 1 minute. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask now. King Med Gaming, thank you. You're welcome. My pleasure. That's why I'm here today. Okay, CB Gurung, one question on Facebook. Hi, Jan. Could you tell about rodné číslo? And it's important. I actually did a video about that. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you will find me there as Jan Kalina, author, immigration expert, and public speaker. So just find me on, or like if you Google on YouTube, if you on YouTube Google Jan Kalina, you'll find me for sure. And I did a video about rodné číslo as well. And on our website, movetoprague.com, we also have an article specifically about rodné číslo. Generally, rodné číslo is a number, like a personal number, which identifies every single person in the Czech Republic. So I have mine, my sister has hers, my mother has hers, my father has his, and everyone has their own specific number which identifies you as a person. So it's something like a social security number in the US. So if you communicate with authorities and you tell them this number, they will be able to find all your records and everything. So in a way, it's important. On the other hand, as for you as for foreigner, it's not really mandatory anywhere. So you don't officially need it for anything. If you don't have rodné číslo, they will use the date of your birth, because the rodné číslo is anyway made out of your date of birth. So if you don't have it, it's not that big deal. You can, at some point, someone can request it, and it's definitely better to have it than not to have it. But if you don't have it, it's not like at the end of the world. How to get it? Generally, the Ministry of the Interior should issue it with all the long-term visas, and long-term residence permit, or temporary residence permit, permanent residence permit. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they issue it like a week later. Sometimes they issue it a couple months later. Sometimes they don't issue it at all. But usually when they don't issue it, there is some problems, because they need to know, for example, the maiden name of your mom. So if you don't provide it in the application form, for example, or if it's not readable, for example, or something like that, that might be the trouble holding them back. So if you need it, even though you should not really need it for anything, really, but if you need it for some reason, then it's best to go to the ministry, request it, fill in a special application, and they should issue it for you. Okay, so now Rosario Zantua, I will get back to your questions in a second, and the same to Mehta Rayat. Sorry for the pronunciation. Back to Sai on YouTube. Jan, how to become permanent residents in the Czech Republic? Well, there are a couple of ways. If, for example, you're a small child and one of your parents has a permanent residence permit in the Czech Republic, you can apply directly for the permanent residence permit as well. If you're not a small child, which I can guess you're not, then you need to follow some rules, and generally becoming a permanent resident is possible after 5 years of living here. Of course, there are different. I actually did another short. It's called short on YouTube, and all my TikToks and Instagram and everywhere. I did a short video about that, where I ask you how many years you need to live in the Czech Republic to qualify for the permanent residency, because there are differences in the type of visa you have. For example, generally it's 5 years for permanent residence. For students, it can be up to 10 years, because student years are only counted as half. But for family members of EU citizens, for example, if you had a Czech wife or husband, then you can apply even after 2 years of living in the Czech Republic. So it depends, but generally you qualify if you live here long enough. So hopefully that was good enough answer. Let me know. So Rosario, Jan, I just want to ask how much money needed to prepare for getting a business visa. Good question. That has changed 2 times this year already. For a long time, it used to be 110,000 crowns. Then it was increased to 125, let's say 24 and 500. Then in April this year was increased to 137. And now from the 1st of July, it was increased to 149,000 crowns. So you need to have equivalent to 149,000 crowns in your account if you want to apply for the business visa. Mehta. Hello, sir. I'm applying Czech Republic season visa. I'm from India. How much study is needed in this? What do you mean? How much study? Okay, so maybe your education. For the seasonal visa, actually, we don't do it really much, because it's mainly for short-term stays, and we focus on the long-term options. But for the seasonal visa, I believe that you need to you need to get a permission from the labor office for doing the job you're doing. And if you got it, then you don't need to worry about the education. It also depends on your employer and what they require, and it also depends on the job you will be doing. So I would not say that the like level of your education is a limitation to get it, but it's best to synchronize this with your employer, because they need to get the permission for you to work here, and they might need the education proofs for that. CB Gurung, thank you, Jan, got it. Happy to hear that. MSMS, doesn't mean anything. Sounds kind of anyway. MSMS. Thank you for a question. Hi, Jan. Can you provide any legal service to find a job or employee in the Czech Republic if I want to apply from my home country, India? Unfortunately, not really, because that's a completely different sphere of business. Finding a job in the Czech Republic is you need to have a special license for that if you want to be employment agency. There are special rules for that, and it's like a completely other type of business. So we don't really do that. But one thing, if you're mentioning it, so for those of you who are watching, I will share a link after I finish the live stream, because we will be organizing, along with our partners from JobSpin, JobCZ, we will be organizing a huge job and relocation fair in September. Sorry, I have a dog here, and he's doing crazy things always. So a huge job and relocation fair. It will be on the 24th of September in Prague, and we expect 3,000 to 5,000 people to come visit. And we want to have at least 50 companies offering jobs and offering services to expats living in the Czech Republic or moving here. So if you could get a short-term visa as a tourist, for example, it might be beneficial for you to attend this event, this job fair. And of course, for all of you who already live in the Czech Republic, that would be great as well. So I'll share the link. Check it out. It's for free. The attendance for visitors is for free. So I'll be happy to see you there. But as of like ourselves, like Move to Prague, we don't really help with finding jobs, unfortunately. Sai, I'm follower of your YouTube shorts too. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the support. So like it, share it, watch it. Always the full video, because it always helps to deal with the algorithm. So please, and thank you. Akhenaten, hi Jan. Hi Akhenaten, nice to see you. Gabriel, Gabana, Tlhong. Hi Jan, please share the email address of your office. The simplest one is info@movetoprague.com, but I will also share the link where you can just fill in your details and we'll get in touch with you. So I'll share all these links when I finish the live stream. Rosario, thank you for your response. My next question is, what are the requirements to get a business visa? Okay, I did another video about that. And if you go to our website, movetoprague.com, and search for Živno visa or business visa, you will find all the details there. Generally, the most important thing for you is to link your business to the Czech Republic. Because if you just like get all the required documents, like, because there is a list of documents you need to get, like proof of accommodation, photos, trade license, your passport, application form, these kind of things. But if you just get these documents, that will not be enough. You also need to prove that you really will be doing some business in the Czech Republic. So if you, for example, want to teach English in the Czech Republic, you should get letters from 2-3 different schools saying that once you get the visa, they will be happy to hire you as a freelance teacher. If you want to open a restaurant in the Czech Republic, you will need to already have the space for the restaurant. You will need to have the menu ready. You will need to know the prices for how much you will be selling it. You will need to have a website, because where will you like offer the food, you know? So you would need to have everything very much prepared before you even apply for the visa. So this is the most important thing, to be able to connect your business to the Czech Republic and really have a reason to be here physically. Because Czech Republic doesn't really, or this business visa is not really meant for any form of digital nomads or anything like that. So if you work online and you have clients from all around the world and not from the Czech Republic, unfortunately, this visa is not for you. If you want to get the visa, you somehow need to link it to the Czech Republic. And that's the most important thing, more important than all the other documents. Okay, can we get tax return in CZ, Akinaten? Depends on what you do. If you, for example, get your trade license, a business license, then you even have to submit your tax return and the social security and healthcare reports in some cases. And of course, if you paid more than you were supposed to, then you might get some money back. The same applies if you're employed. Then your employer must submit tax returns on your behalf every year. And then again, it depends on how much you earned or how much you paid to the government, if you get something back or not. MSMS, thank you for helping us. My pleasure. That's why I'm here on these live streams. Bikram, can we change children tourist visa to permanent residency? Unfortunately, nothing can be switched from a short-term visa to something else in the Czech Republic. Only in case one of you was an EU citizen, then yes, that would be possible to come here under a short-term visa and then stay and switch to the family member of an EU citizen type of residency. But if you're all non-EU citizens, unfortunately, you cannot just switch from the short-term visa to a long-term one in the Czech Republic. The first long-term visa or long-term residence permit application always must go through a Czech embassy. So I'm waiting for 1,000 subscribers soon. Yes, I very much hope so. Yeah, I'm waiting for that as well. Looking forward. It's nothing, on YouTube. It's nothing like 1,000 followers or subscribers, but it will be a nice point to hit. Bikram, I have trvalý pobyt. We live in husband and wife and trying to call my small children by tourist visa, and after they come, could it possible to change into permanent residency? No, I would recommend, in this case, applying for the permanent residency directly through the Czech embassy. Okay, that's the dog. Directly through the Czech embassy, because that's possible. For minors, it's possible to apply directly for permanent residency. Or bring the child here under a long-term visa, the family reunification, because that's the easiest to get, and then try to switch it here. But short-term visa, coming here under a short-term visa and switching it here is not possible, unfortunately. Akinaten, thank you, Jan. Currently, I'm employed here in the Czech Republic. Yeah, so your employer should be doing your tax return every year. They should also ask you if you want them to do it or if you will be doing it yourself. In case you're just employed, just let them do it. If you had a trade license on top of your job, for example, then you would need to do your taxes yourself. And we could recommend a good tax advisor for that or accountant. Okay, guys, it's